All right. So, as promised, I said I was going to go live this morning, and I'm going to talk about something that's not marketing related, but kind of is marketing related, and that is your limiting beliefs. So, because I can't really sit in the Facebook group while I'm doing this, I guess I can. If you're watching this and you have questions, just pop them in the comment section, and I will do my best to. Um, Let me just mute that. I will do my best to answer them as they're coming in. Section, and I will do my best. Dang it. Okay. And if you're here watching live, just throw a hand up and just say hi. Just let me know that you're here, and so I know that somebody's in the interwebs with me right now. Okay. So limiting beliefs, they're forever going to be a part of your life. They're forever going to be a part of your business. And sorry, I'm very fidgety with my hair today. It's important that you are aware of them and that you never think you don't have them, because at the best of times, you will have them. And so it's important to really just recognize that this is a part of your life. It's a part of the business. It's a part of growth. You're always going to have some type of limiting belief or mindset. So I'm going to bring up a couple. I'm going to give you 4 that are related to the business and that are related really to your marketing. And I would love for you to write these down. If you're here, again, let me know. And then we can get going on these 4. Okay, let me just put that in the chat. Okay. So the first one, and this one I think I struggle with, to be honest, because of my age. I'm 47 and a half, actually, almost exactly in 11 days. And I get caught up because 47 back when my mom was 47 was a lot different than it is currently. And so a lot different, like couldn't be more different. And so I think about what my mom was doing at this age, and I think about what she looked like and what she sounded like and the clothes that she used to wear and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot older than I seem to myself anyway, than she seemed. And so sometimes, and Gary Vaynerchuk's really amazing at this. Like, he's very much about, like, you're on the right side of the earth. What are you even talking about? Right? You're alive. That means you got another day. And so it's easy to get caught up in the idea that I'm too old, or I'm too old to start this. Like, I'm starting real estate, and I could easily, psych myself out and say, I'm too old to start real estate, and there's too many real estate agents, blah, 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 all those things. All those things are just versions of limiting beliefs. And the sooner you admit that it is a limiting belief, the better off everyone's going to be. And what do I mean by admitting it? A lot of times people will justify the limiting belief because they've experienced it. And that's fair. Sure, you've experienced certain things that have created the belief, but that doesn't mean you can't undo it. It doesn't mean that you have to live with that mindset. So I'm too old. If you've ever said I'm too old to do this, or I'm too old, whatever, put it in the chat. Just let me know you've decided you're too old, because I'll tell you right now, that's a pile of horseshit. The second one is I'm not into social media. So that kind of ties in with the I'm too old, right? If that's a belief you have, then if you say I'm too old, then the next statement is I'm too old to do social media. Who wants to hear about me? I mean, there are a gajillion accounts of granny accounts that are hilarious, where they're talking about fashion, they're talking about their lifestyle. Like, they're cool accounts and they have millions of followers. So what is this bullshit? I'm too old and I don't do social media. I'm not into social media. Now, the other thing is, you don't have to be into social media to utilize social media in your business. Like that, I'm not suggesting that you go and scroll for 10 years and waste all this time, on social, looking at shit that you don't. That's not what I'm talking about. You don't have to be into social media, but you definitely want to utilize it for your business, because if you're not, your competitors are. Plain and like fact. There's no way around that. That's just what's happening. So the second one is I'm not into social media. Now, okay, so I'm going to go through the 4, and then I'm going to talk about how you might behave if you have that limiting belief. And I'm going to keep these are really short. I want to keep them nice and tight so that you're not watching um, sitting here watching videos all day. So the next one is I don't like selling. So if you've ever said, I don't like selling, boldly put a hand up. I have. I don't like selling. How is that a limiting belief? 100%. It's a limiting belief. There's no way around that one. Like that will stop you dead in your tracks. So I don't love selling is another massive limiting belief. And I'm not good at selling. That's sort of, piggybacking on the I don't love selling part. I'm not good at selling. Okay. So obviously, I mean, and this is really just a refresher for all of you, because I know many of you have heard this and many of you have learned about this stuff. So this is really acting as a refresher, but I just want to bring it to the forefront because there's probably areas in your life right now where you're not actually excelling at, and you're not maybe selling, and you're maybe not trying new things, and you're probably doing things that you shouldn't be doing when you should be working on your business, or, there's a whole host of things. So I just want to bring up the limiting beliefs thing again, because it's something that's important to remind you that maybe that's what's happening right now in your current landscape of things not working. Maybe it's a limiting belief you didn't realize was even a limiting belief. So what do you think the person who believes I'm too old, I'm not into social media, I don't like selling, and I'm not good at selling, what do you think they're actually going to do for their business? Sweet fuck all. Like, no way to sugarcoat it. They're not going to be doing any of the things that are required in order to sell for their company. And so when you're busy thinking, I'm too old, I'm not into social media, I don't like selling, and I'm not good at selling, those limiting beliefs are absolutely going to stop any possible progression in your company, in your business, in your career. Because like I asked when I brought the group back from the dead, who has a business and who's an MLM partner. And that's still having a business. It's not, I recognize the difference between starting from scratch, right, and working in an MLM. But the MLM, yeah, you get support, but you still have to hustle your own ass off to get anywhere. So think about, if I'm too old, what is that person, are they going to wake up excited to do social media for their business? Are they going to wake up excited to do email marketing? Are they going to wake up excited to go and do networking for their MLM? Are they going to be excited? No. They're thinking, I'm too old. What's the fucking point? And then all of a sudden, there is no point. Eventually, you are too old and you're not here anymore, and there is no point. So why, that's going to be the energy of the person who's saying, I'm too old, I'm not into social media. That person's going to be bitter, because they're still looking. Like, don't get it twisted. Even though I'm not into social media, they're still aware of what their competitors are doing. They're still aware of what the people on their team are doing. Like, they're still aware. And if I'm saying I'm not into social media and that's my limiting belief, I'm not going to even try to learn. Or another version of that is I'm not technical. Like, do you know how many times I hear I'm not a techie? Oh, Kara, you're really techie. Guess what? No, there's no such thing anymore. Like, it's so available to you to learn how to do this stuff. There's absolutely no excuse whatsoever to claim I'm not techie. That's a complete pile of horse shit. And you know it. We both know it. And I'm always here to tell you the truth. But like, you're not techie. I can't go and code a website from scratch, but I build websites. That's part of what I do as a marketing coach, is I build websites. Why? Because there's Wix now, and I've used Wix for 10 years, and I'm an expert at how to work that program. Didn't take me 10 years, let me tell you, and especially now, right? Like, I can't, if I see a client and they say, well, I don't have a website, I'm not techie, my smoke comes out of my ears because I get so rattled. It's not a lack of resources, right? It's a lack of resourcefulness. Tony Robbins teaches us all the time. It's not a lack of, there's ways to, I can build an app this afternoon if I want to. I can build an app for the iPhone for my clients, and PS, that's coming down the road, but I can go and do that in an afternoon. Yes, I'm skilled and I can move faster through these things, but there's no excuse at all for I'm not techie. It might be I don't like technology as much as I want to. It might be I'm not as comfortable in technology, but this I'm not techie, massive limiting belief because everything is done on our phones. Where's my phone? Everything is done on these things now. There's nothing that pretty much nothing that cannot be done on an iPhone. Takes better pictures. Sorry to my Android users, it takes better video. You can do anything on your smartphone now. So to say I'm not techie, or I'm not into social media, all of those are all limiting beliefs that maybe you're even conscious of. But what happens when you say those things is it gives you the excuse to not even try. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Your subconscious goes, see, not techie. See, I'm not into social media. See, blah, 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 fill in the blank. When really, it's just a limiting belief we need to pull out like a weed. And instead of, so any of the things like if I'm too old, right? If that's your limiting belief, what could you switch that to? I'm not into social media. I'm not a techie. What could you switch that to? I don't love selling. What could you switch that to? And I'm not good at selling. Like that one in particular, look, in the old days, selling used to be really different. It used to be a lot more pushy. It like in the course, actually, I talk about what selling used to look like and why we have such an aversion to it. If you were in the 80s and you were a salesperson, it was a traveling salesman, first of all, right? It was a very male dominated industry. It still is. Why? Because men are hunters and men can go in their masculine, they can go for the jugular, get the sale, close it, and be gone. We do not feel that way. And even like PS, that's how I used to sell. And it was effective for the numbers, but it was not effective for how I felt about myself. I hated selling in that way. It made me feel disgusting. And back, in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s, I had no idea that it was masculine, feminine. I had no idea about any of that. I just knew I fucking hated it. Put me down on a floor and I'd pick up a phone and I'd call, and I hated it. It was awful, but I was decent at it because I could activate that masculine energy in me. But did I like it? No. Was it sustainable? Obviously not. Am I still at that company? Hell no. So we have this idea about selling that it's this, cheesy, what do I got to do to get you in this car kind of mindset, because that is what it was like once upon a time. And don't get me wrong, there's still tons, probably predominantly the people who are still selling in that way. They are men. I've definitely met women like this who are very connected to the masculine. They don't know how to turn off that piece of them, and then it ends up not helping their sales, period. But women, ladies, you don't have to sell that way. And if you, like, again, another limiting belief might be, I don't want to sell like a guy. Now that you're privy to this, now that I'm sharing, that's probably why you hate selling, is because you think you have to sell it like a man. Once you say, well, I actually don't have to do it like that. And actually, women are really good at selling because we're compassionate, we're nurturing, like we slow down, we listen to the prospect, we're not waiting for our turn to talk. All of those things are traditionally the way men sell. And so if you think that's what selling is, you're going to create the limiting belief around I'm not good at it, but that's because that gives you a way out. That gives you the I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to do it. Versus actually I am good at it, but I'm not doing it like my male counterpart. I'm doing it this way. And it's almost like, I could do an entire and I actually have done master classes on this, because it's so important for you to understand you will not make any effing money if you don't sell your product. It's that simple. If you don't sell shit, you're making $0. Black and white, ladies. There is no gray for this. You must sell to make money. So if you're stuck in this loop of I hate selling, I don't like sales, this is the time when I'm letting you know, do it in a different way. Crush that limiting belief. Go from I don't like selling to I love building relationships. Ladies, how many of you are real estate agents? This is how you build. You build relationships. That's one of my superpowers, building relationships and rapport. So I'm not going out thinking I'm selling. I'm going out thinking I'm building relationships. I'm building rapport. And what happens when you go in with that energy, all of a sudden the pressure is off of you, but it's also off of the prospect. You're not pushing them. Are there certain things you want to say to get people to move? Absolutely. Are there certain sort of trigger sentences and things that you want to get people to start thinking about when they're contemplating working with you? 100%. But it doesn't have to be this aggressive car salesman mindset and vibe. And I think when we say I don't like selling and I'm not good at selling as our limiting belief, really what's underneath that is we don't know any other way. And there is another way, and I'm happy to share that with you. So I'm going to wrap it up, but I want you to really sit and contemplate, like, where are my limiting beliefs when it comes to my marketing, right? If it's I don't like social media, that's it. So write down the limiting belief, and then I want you to write down 3 reasons why that's bullshit. Like, give me 3 examples of why you're not too old. And then I want you to look for ways to go against that grain. I'm not too old. I have all this experience. Tony talks about that, I think, at UPW. I'm not too old. I have a lot of experience. I have way more experience than the 21 or 22-year-old who's in the same line of business as me. I'm not too old. I'm just the right age to start this. Give reasons why your story, why your limiting belief is total bullshit. And then every time you think, I don't want to sell, I don't want to go on social media, I want you to reference these limiting beliefs. It's going to take some time to move them out of your system because they've been in your system for so long. But this is, once you identify it, like the biggest one for me, and I'll tell you a quick story and then I'm going to hop off. But I was at my first UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. If you haven't already guessed, he's my mentor, and that's one of the life-changing for my whole family. It was amazing. And so, sorry, I'm just looking here. So I was sitting there writing down my limiting beliefs, and one of the biggest ones was wealthy people are greedy, uninclusive, and what was it? Something like just rude, mean, not nice, assholes. So I'm going to these seminars. I'd gone to Business Mastery, spent $13,000 buying my ticket, getting my hotel, my flight, my food, the whole works, right? To go grow my business. You don't do that if you don't want wealth, right? You don't go and spend 13 grand on something that you're not going to get a ROI and build your business to make more money. So obviously, my goal is to hit a certain level of wealth. So if I'm busy believing wealthy people are assholes, how likely am I to go and do the things I need to do to become wealthy? Big fat zero. Because it's an integrity gap, right? I have a belief that wealthy people are not kind people. I want to be kind, so there's an integrity gap. Why would I go do something that I believe makes a person an asshole? And in real time, I got a lesson from this woman, Tanya, who's a senior leader for Tony. And I was sitting there, and after we done the limiting belief exercise, we did Dickens. I think it was on Saturday after. I just straight up freaked out. Like, I lost my shit. All my energy had sort of pooled into this big panic attack. And I was thinking, what's the point of this? And oh my God, like I went 0 to 100. It was awful. It was an awful, awful experience. So I'm freaking out, and I remember I was wearing my Uggs and jacket and a scarf and it was the middle of July in Chicago, and it's hot, but Tony keeps shit really cold inside. And so I come up out of the whatever hockey arena, because that's where it was, where the Blackhawks play. I come up and I'm just losing my shit. I start like hyperventilating, and she comes up, she sees me, and I said, I'm freaking out. She goes, baby, this is what happens when you wake up. And I was like, well, I want to go back to sleep. This is fucking awful. And I really just lost it. So she said, how much water have you had? And I said, barely any, because I didn't like peeing 45 times in the day and missing content. So I drank less water that day. So she gets me some water. And then she says, okay, let's go outside. And we go outside, and she goes, run. Just run it out. And I did. In my Uggs, in 40-degree weather, I'm running my ass off up and down the block. And I just let out that energy, and I got it. And I started to feel better. She stayed with me until I calmed down. So I go back to my seat. And one of the things at Unleashed, at all the Tony events, at any event, and anyone who has a problem with this, give yourself a head shake there a little bit. Check yourself. They did some selling, right? You have to pitch at these events because that's how you get people to the next event. So they're doing some pitching around Mastery University, which is like a whole conglomerate of like business mastery, date with destiny, life and wealth. It's this whole thing. And they're talking about success stories of how people who have attended have taken their business from here to there and whatever. And up pops Tanya on the big screen. And I'm like, holy crap. So she bought 22 Taco Bells and grew it to 60 Taco Bells. Would you call her wealthy? I would. So what did the universe, God, teach me in that moment? That my limiting belief was complete BS, and that this woman cared for me so deeply, and she volunteers for Tony. They get paid a little bit, but nothing. Like, it's not, they're not doing it for the money, put it that way. And she helped me in real time. She calmed me down. She was very generous, very inclusive in terms of like, didn't shun me because I was losing my shit, whatever. So in real time, I got the message, my limiting belief was complete bullshit. So did that pivot me and change the way I think about wealthy people? You bet your ass it did. Do I still catch myself sometimes thinking that, you see like different kind of people with money acting away? Yeah, money didn't make them that way though, guys. They were that way anyway. Money will make you more of what you already are. If you're a jerk, money will tend to make you more of a jerk. If you're a generous person, it will make you more generous, right? So the belief was wealthy people are X, Y, and Z, and that was totally untrue. And so now I feel no way about wealth. I feel excited about it. I feel like, yeah, everybody deserves to feel that if they're willing to do the work, et cetera, et cetera. So do the homework, put your comments in the, add anything, questions, whatever in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer it. Remember, guys, this is a free group, so I know that participation is lower in those scenarios, but why not make everybody who puts these free groups on kind of envious of our group because we have so much interaction in it. I don't want to start charging for this group, so that's my invitation to you to get in here. And if you don't want to be a part of it, I'm totally cool with that. Just exit and let yourself out, because we want active members in here sharing with each other. We've got the marketing chat going on. Hopefully you're enjoying that. But please engage. Tell me what your limiting beliefs are inside of the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm very active in there as well. So if you have questions, let me know. And if you want to have a one-on-one with me, a strategy session, even just a chat, discovery call, whatever, you can get the link. I'll leave the link in the comments for you, and we can get on the horn and talk too. All right. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.